Today is 18th July, and this is the oral test of the second half of theme 11 of class 12th Modern History NCERT, Rebels and the Raj. Okay. There are no official documents that show the perspective of the rebels. There are no official documents that show the perspective of the rebels. Right? Easy question. It's a false statement. Okay. The rebels' idea of India influenced the vision of India's freedom struggle. The rebels' idea of India influenced the vision of India's freedom struggle. Okay. इतना एक तरफा मत देख के मेरी आंखों में तो आंसू आ गए, लेकिन एक बार एक्सप्लेन कर दो कि ये ट्रू क्यों है ये स्टेटमेंट. आश्रिया, why is it true?
Sir, I believe influence is a very broad term. So influence तो कोई किससे भी हो सकता है.
Okay. चलो अब माइनॉरिटी में चलते हैं. Why is it false? स्कंद.
So if I remember correctly, the rebels' idea or the vision was to go to traditional social order. Whereas the independence of India was not to go to the traditional social order, but to a much more future, I mean, the other order. Which is why I don't think that.
Yes. And that is true, right? The freedom struggle did not envision to take India back to 18th century Mughal period. थोड़ी देखना था. This is the difference. The rebels were not forward looking. They were reactionary. Reactionary मतलब जो backward looking, जो पीछे past में जो होते हैं. Forward looking हुआ जो future का modernization की तरफ जाएंगे. तो ideally this statement should be false. It did not influence. Do you agree? Give me thumbs up if you agree. Face emoji if you don't. All right. Okay, great. Let's move ahead. Vinayak. Vinayak, batao. Vinayak, can you hear me? Ashriya, I'm so sorry. Ashriya.
Sir, but can we say
Vinayak, audio is a problem.
The other way, it has influenced because the tendency of revolting started from there itself.
See, if you are looking at it this way, then this statement can never be incorrect. And it's a very broad way of looking at it. The statement.
Sir, are you able to hear me now?
It's very signal is very choppy, Vinayak. If video बंद कर लो अपना, just close your video and see if it improves.
Audible now?
No, Vinayak, signal large problem hai. I'll come to the others. I'll go to the others now. We have very limited time. Ashirya?
Sir, it was called the First War of Independence. So I thought that the reason it was called First War of Independence because it influenced the later stages.
No, the point is what the statement I said is the rebels' idea of India. The rebels' idea of India bola statement mein, right? What was their idea of India? Mughal period wala jana hai, 18th century, right?
So can you please repeat the ekbar
statement was the rebels' idea of India influenced the vision of India's freedom struggle. Right? So, idea of India तो influence नहीं किया ना. Vinayak, Ashirya, is your doubt clear? Please lower your hand. Vinayak, is the doubt still there?
All right, sir. So that was the only doubt, the tendency revolting against the British government.
No, idea of India. No, you are taking it very broad. Na? The statement is confined to idea of India.
Okay.
Right? Siddhi?
I feel this is very subjective because there was no one idea of India also within among the rebels.
No, the book is saying, right, they wanted to go back to 18th century Mughal period.
but some merely wanted to overthrow the existing rule. And the reason one of
See,
them,
you have to look at the statement from a broad angle. What is given in the NCERT? It's can we say overall the rebels wanted to take India back to the Mughal times? Can we say this?
yeah, to a large extent, yes.
Overall, तो मोटी बात तो यही है ना. तो freedom struggle was not Mughal period, na. Freedom struggle was modernizing the country. Freedom struggle was forward looking. The broad difference is rebels were backward looking, freedom struggle was forward looking. तो influence किया, ये बोलना मुश्किल है ना फिर इस context में.
Yeah.
Right, Ognish?
So this question would have been tweaked like by saying the rebels' vision for independence or vision for struggle influenced Indian freedom struggle. Would that be correct? Like just replacing the idea of India, that thing.
See, the point is I purposely did not put vision because vision is a word which is more subjective. Even if ideally vision should be forward looking, vision is progressive, vision is forward looking, but still to say कि नहीं जो reactionary था उनका मुगल period में जाना वो vision नहीं था. At least technically it was their aspiration.
Okay.
At least technically. तो वो word vision use करना मेरे को ठीक नहीं लगा, इसीलिए उसको मैंने.
सर अगर होता तो ये ट्रू या फॉल्स मतलब क्या होता, मतलब अगर विजन,
अगर यूपीएससी विजन बोलेगा तो भी इसको फॉल्स बोलो बिकॉज चांसेस आर हाई कि वो रिएक्शनरी वर्सेस फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग में ही जा रहा है. बट हियर आई डिड नॉट वांट टू क्रिएट अ डिस्कशन, मतलब अननेसेसरी टाइम जाता है तो इसलिए मैंने उसको थोड़ा ऐसा कर दिया. बट इफ यूपीएससी यूजेस द वर्ड विजन, आई थिंक इट इज बेटर टू टेक इट एज अगेन व्हाट वी आर डिस्कसिंग. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay. The British were successful in sowing the seeds of religious discord amongst Hindus and Muslims. The British were successful in sowing the seeds of religious discord. Yes. Arya, why is it true?
Sir, there is a statement in NCERT that they tried to incite
then
Hindus against
what
Muslims.
is the next statement?
Yes. But they tried, sir.
So, what is my statement, Arya? My statement is the British were. Is my signal clear? Are you able to hear me clearly and completely?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the British were successful. They were not successful, na. That's the statement. That's it. Let's move on. The Azamgarh Proclamation was issued by the British after successfully crushing the revolt in that region. The Azamgarh Proclamation, okay, it's a false statement. Okay, rebels had issued it. The Azamgarh Proclamation gave exact details of what different sections of the population were expected to do. The Azamgarh Declaration gave exact details of what different sections of the population were expected to do. Skand, why is it false?
So, the proclamation did mention about different sections of the society. It did mention to them to have a duty against the British, but it didn't mention any exact action what to do.
See,
exact action would
I mean, the way the details are given, is it not very specific mention of what they have to do? For example, let me just see, regarding zamindars, it's evident that British government has imposed exorbitant jamas. Okay, what else is there?
So with almost all the classes, they tried to incite the feeling of nationalism against British, but not. So, I mean, when you say exact actions, then I feel it has to say that take up the arms, shoot them on sight, or something like that, right?
Yes, exact doesn't mean exhaustive. Exact means unambiguous. Exact means clear directions, what they have
Right.
to do. It doesn't have to be exhaustive.
Okay.
So if clear and unambiguous directions are there, then I think we can count it as exact directions.
Okay.
So I feel it's better to go with true, right? It gave exact declaration. Okay. It forbade, the Azamgarh proclamation forbade people from attacking the innocent Britishers. It forbade people from attacking innocent Britishers. False, right? This should be false. Nahi, Siddhi, you should go with the tone, na? They were against all kinds of anything dealing with British. सबको attack करो. And also you have seen the photographs, ना? वो औरतों को, बच्चों को, they were attacking everybody left, right, center. So, I mean, you just go, कुछ होता ऐसा छोड़ो मत किसी भी statement को. Just try it out. गलत होगा तो discuss कर लेंगे ना. Don't leave the statements. जहां तक हो सके answer the statements. Okay. Go with the tone of और कुछ नहीं exact. अगर आइडिया नहीं है तो whatever, go with the tone of what you have read in the book. उसके बाद कुछ हल निकलेगा. Let us see. The rebels could establish an alternative structure of power in Delhi and Kanpur, but not in Lucknow. The rebels could establish an alternative structure of power in Delhi and Kanpur, but not in Lucknow. False. In Lucknow also, they could establish. Okay. The rebels were most successful in Awadh. The rebels were most successful in Awadh. Sana, why is it false?
Sir, I don't know about successful. It was written in the book that they fought for, they resisted the longest there.
So what is success of the rebellion?
If they are able to overturn the power.
This is comparative. They were surely not able to overturn, but comparative statement है ना? They were most successful बोल रहा है. That means compared to other places, they were more successful in now. That's the complete statement, right? Sana, do you agree?
Okay, sir.
नहीं ऐसे जबरदस्ती मत हाँ भरो. नहीं agree करे बोलो नहीं agree करे, because I may be also wrong ना.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about it.
नहीं, sure, we're just reasoning it out. The point is, and Apurva also said it's false. Apurva, what is your approach?
So I was thinking along similar lines, but I then realized that because in the text it's written that Awadh, it took the longest for the Britishers to actually gain control over. So
Yeah.
It that the rebels were winning.
So it's just another way of saying na कि they were most successful in Awadh. या ये बोलो they resisted for the longest in Awadh. एक ही बात हुई. That was my intention of making the statement. Sana, do you agree?
Yes, sir.
नहीं agree करे हो कोई बात नहीं. उसको study करो. You can discuss also later after the class. Not an issue. Let's move ahead. Just note this down. Wherever anybody is not agreeing, because we have limited time, थोड़ा जल्दी हमको आगे बढ़ना होगा. But after the class, we'll stay back. You can discuss your doubt. Okay. India was put under martial law by the British. अच्छा ध्यान रखना, martial है, marital नहीं है. जल्दबाजी में martial को marital नहीं पढ़ना है. Okay, गड़बड़ होगी फिर नहीं तो. India was put under martial law by the British. Vinayak, why is it true?
So actually, the ordinary laws were not looked up to, and that's why they took the approach of martial.
Okay, great. Why is it false? Who said false? Please raise your hands or just give me that face emoji again. जिसने false बोला. Prerna, why is it false?
Sir, they imposed martial law only in North India.
specific region.
तो फर्क है ना. India was under मतलब whole of India was under. So if you are focusing on martial law, you'll say it's true, but the trap was in India versus North India. Okay, so it is a false statement. India was not only North India was, और अब the whole of India was put, ऐसा करके बोलने का चांस कम है. अगर बोल दिया तो बहुत ही अच्छी बात है. अगर नहीं बोला तो इंडिया, अगर सिर्फ इंडिया बोला तो we should assume it to be the whole country. India will mean full whole India. All right, so false. The law allowed even ordinary Britons to try and punish suspected rebels with death penalty.
Can you
Yes.
repeat?
The law allowed even ordinary Britons to try and punish suspected rebels with death penalty. Yes. All right. Why is it false, Siddhi?
Sir, I'm thinking, would ordinary rebels also mean even the residents and who were not?
Anybody who was suspected. Suspected है तो बस गया.
Okay.
That's how, I mean, उस जमाने में यही होता था. सस्पेक्ट किया और बस, है ना. तो even suspected they'll just try, और फिर करना ही है, किसी भी तरह से इल्जाम लगाएंगे and they'll just this thing. But the thing which you should realize is Britishers always ensured rule of law. कानून जुल्म करने वाला बना देंगे लेकिन कानून के खिलाफ नहीं जाएंगे. ठीक है. The rebels were allowed to appeal against their punishment. The rebels were allowed to appeal against their punishment. False. ठीक है. तो Azmi, why is it true?
Sir, maybe they allowed, don't know, I guess.
If they had allowed, then tell me, is it not important enough information to be mentioned in our books, given the kind of information which is there so far, which you've seen?
Yes, sir.
It should be mentioned, right?
It should be.
It should be mentioned because it's a big
Yes.
thing, ना? अगर वो
Okay.
even ordinary Britons को दे रहा है कि भाई किसी को भी फांसी चढ़ा दो, कोई भी अंग्रेज है तो फांसी
Sir,
चढ़ा सकता.
I go with that rule of law statement. I thought कि maybe there were.
नहीं, that is the, see, this is the same approach with the, I think permanent settlement का क्वेश्चन आया था, किसका आया था कि अगर बारिश नहीं हुई या कुछ क्रॉप लॉस हो गया तो एग्जेम्प्ट कर देगा रेवेन्यू. 24 में ही आया था ना एक क्वेश्चन. एग्जेम्प्ट कभी नहीं करेगा. अगर एग्जेम्प्ट करता, किसी भी सिचुएशन में एग्जेम्प्ट करता, सच एन एक्सप्लॉयटेटिव रेजिम, राइट? व्हाट डू वी रीड कि एक्सप्लॉयटेशन था हर जगह. कुछ जगहों पे क्रॉप सॉइल के हिसाब से, उसके पेइंग कैपेसिटी के हिसाब से भी कर रहा है, लेकिन जो डिसाइड कर रहा है वो नॉर्मली हाई ही था, राइट? इट वाज बियॉन्ड द पेइंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ द पेजेंट. एंड इस माहौल में अगर एग्जेम्पशन ऑफ रेवेन्यू की बात आ जाएगी तो इज इट नॉट अ big enough thing to be mentioned in the book? It is, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's why I told you yesterday, when you are reading the content, don't just read for the facts which are mentioned, but also just distance yourself from the content and observe the kind of facts which are given. इससे would have heard strong होता है हमारा, कि हमने सुना होता, बुक में होता, उसका एक conviction strong हो जाता है. ठीक है. तो अगर वो सुना होता तो ये भी सुना होगा ना, रेबल्स की बात हो रही है, उसको अपील करने के लिए दे रहे हैं. आई थिंक गोइंग विद फॉल्स इज अ बेटर कॉल हियर, अनलेस वी कैन फाइंड एविडेंस कि नहीं ट्रू था, सुनते थे अपील वगैरह. ठीक है.
And sir, there was one statement ना कि Canning
तो उसकी तो खिल्ली उड़ गई थी कैनिंग की. तो
हाँ
उसको मजाक किया था ना, बनाया था ना उसका.
yes sir.
तो चांस कम है. लेट अस सी. शहनशाह.
Sir, actually, there is this one of the violet boxes in the NCERT.
One of the
the box in the NCERT which talks about the arzi, the petition and the application of rebel sepoys.
कहाँ पे? अच्छा, this is one of the arzis, petition or application. Okay.
303.
Okay.
Can you just clarify? Was it to the British or it was to the which they called the Badshahi government?
यार actually मैंने इसको नहीं पढ़ा है.
Because I believe that this is the point where we can clarify this question which you asked, sir, rightly. Because this is something where the petition
I'll have to go through
applications-
it actually. I'll have to go through it in detail. तो अभी it'll cost time. फिर क्लास के बाद देखते हैं.
Maybe we also look into it.
क्लास के बाद देख लेंगे, ठीक है? Okay, let's move ahead for now. Guerrilla tactics were used by the rebels and their supporters. Guerrilla tactics were used by the rebels and their supporters. Everyone will answer. Guerrilla tactics were used by the rebels and their supporters. Mansi, why is it false? Samakshi, answer karo jaldi. Why is it false, Mansi?
Sir, I didn't find mention of. Sir, I didn't find it mentioned.
You didn't find it mentioned. Firstly, अब ये बताओ, is it important enough to be mentioned कि guerrilla tactics use किया था या सीधा frontal attack ही किया था हमेशा? Is it important enough to be mentioned?
I believe because
Okay.
many guerrilla practice has been mentioned in relation to Marathas and various tribes a lot in books.
All right. All right. Any other reason why it is false? Anyone? No other reason? Okay. Why is it true? Who wants to share? Why is it true? Sana?
Sir, I think in one of the boxes it was mentioned that the villagers used to disappear when the British troops were arriving, and then they used to assemble again. So maybe that could be associated with guerrilla tactics.
Yes. It is mentioned. It is mentioned, but still I did not like. I want to minimize our dependence on books as much as possible. If we can take a call based on the theme and tone of what we have studied, it's going to build our confidence. See, the point is, guerrilla tactics is just a way of fighting. And we know that they fought. Now, what they did not have or why they lost, if it was critical, then it is mentioned. Like they did not have effective organization, they did not have effective leadership. ये सब चीजें mentioned है. Communication नहीं था उनके पास बहुत अच्छा, right? ये चीजें mentioned है. लेकिन उन्होंने किस तरीके से fight किया? What all are the ways in which they fought? Yes, they fought head on also. जहाँ head on का situation बनी वहाँ head on भी fight किया. Battle of चिनात हुआ और दुनिया भर की जगह हुई. लेकिन गुरिल्ला नहीं यूज किया. ये तो in the absence of clear information is very difficult to say. This is something which only an expert can tell कि नहीं गुरिल्ला नहीं किया, बाकी XYZ तरीका किया. Do you get it? Like you have a whole set of tools which you can use for fighting. Book will mention some, but the others were not used. हाँ, of course हम ये नहीं बोलेंगे कि cannons mass scale पे use किया, ठीक है? या कुछ ऐसा advanced, most advanced weapons ऐसा mass scale पे use किया. ये would have heard पे जाएगा फिर statement. अगर छोटे मोटे लेवल पे है तो cannons भी use किया हो सकता है, किसी का capture कर लिया, कुछ वैसे ही use कर दिया. You have to go with what the vibe of the statement. If it says on a mass scale, then would have heard. If it says they sometimes use cannon, तो ठीक है, true. So guerrilla tactics to use हो सकता है ना? Azmi was discussing with me. Azmi, do you agree?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Right?
Sir, I think Sana was discussing.
No, Sana said it's true. I was discussing with someone else who said it's false. I think it was you or someone else. No, I don't remember.
So it was me.
Acha, Mansi. Okay. So do you agree, Mansi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move ahead. The British forces in the unaffected areas were sufficient to suppress the revolt. What I'm trying to say is there were areas which were unaffected by the revolt. The British forces which were there, the company's forces which were there, including the Indian sepoys in those regions, they were sufficient to suppress the revolt. Didn't understand? Didn't understand? First understand. If you didn't understand, let me explain it once. I'm saying there were areas which were affected by the revolt and there were areas which are not affected by the revolt. The forces in the unaffected areas were sufficient to crush the revolt. That's it. The forces in the unaffected areas were sufficient to crush the revolt. नहीं समझ में आया? अभी भी नहीं समझ में आया शहंशाह? नहीं समझ आया कि जवाब दे रहे हो?
It's false.
It's false. They were not sufficient. Why were they not sufficient, शहंशाह? नहीं, मैंने क्या बोला? They were sufficient. तुमने बोला false. हाँ, तो क्यों नहीं थे sufficient?
So basically, the statement is over exaggerated.
How?
Because it talks about a statistical, like a data set which has to be analyzed at the national level. कि कहाँ पे कितने sepoys थे planted.
ठीक है, तो मेरे को आइडिया से बता दो.
Hypothetical in nature.
नहीं, I mean this is not a sufficient reason to say it is false, ना? If the statement is saying were the forces in unaffected areas sufficient or not, तुम कह रहे हो नहीं था sufficient, तो मेरे को reason में ये नहीं चलेगा ना कि डेटा चाहिए इसको बोलने के लिए. फिर डेटा चाहिए तो ट्रू भी तो बोल सकते हैं.
Yes sir, but that is where history puts the limitation.
Okay.
It was a popular revolt, right? So definitely the forces would be less. If it's a popular revolt, that is every section would have been included, right? So from that inference, we can say
you are on the more rational side, more agreeable side, but still I'm expecting something more concrete from the book to be in the answer. Azmi?
Sir, I think they were sufficient since they were able to crush the revolt in areas that were most affected. So if the areas that are less affected,
I got your point. Got your point, Azmi. Thank you. Adarsh, I'll have to guys move quickly actually to just to save time. Ask more questions.
Reinforcements were brought from Britain.
This was a point mentioned in the book, na? Reinforcements were brought from Britain. So if the unaffected area forces were sufficient, to reinforcements की जरूरत नहीं थी. That was my intention. Samakshi?
Sir, in the affected areas, reinforcements were called, but जो unaffected areas थे, वहां से भी reinforcements were called, right? From Calcutta side and from Punjab, which were largely unaffected. वहां से भी reinforcements were brought to Awadh. तो सर इन दैट केस जो अनअफेक्टेड एरियाज है वहां तो काफी था उसको सप्रेस करने के लिए जितना थोड़ा बहुत रहा होगा.
नहीं, you look at the statement, just distance yourself from the statement first. The question which I'm trying to ask is whether the forces in India, whether the British capacity in India was it sufficient to crush the revolt or not?
नहीं, that was inefficient.
Insufficient,
I thought you meant कि जो अलग-अलग pockets है within India where revolt is not happening, वहां पे
नहीं, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं. अगर ब्रिटेन, जब तक ब्रिटेन से नहीं बुला रहे हैं,
तब तक तो काफी है.
सफिशिएंट है ना. जब ब्रिटेन से बुला लिया तभी तो अनअफेक्टेड एरियाज इन इंडिया का सफिशिएंट नहीं रहा ना.
ओके सर.
राइट. ओके, लेट्स मूव अहेड. Lucknow counter-attack was led by Campbell. Lucknow counter-attack was led by Campbell. Samakshi, it's true. It's not SFUW. It was Campbell only. Okay. Delhi was the first city to be recaptured by the British. Delhi was the first city to be recaptured by the British. Why is it true, Ambika?
So, actually, I was not sure, but I thought I read somewhere, so that's why I marked it too.
अगर तुमने कहीं पढ़ा होता तो बहुत क्लियरली पढ़ा होता ना फिर, और ये तो चीज भूलने वाली नहीं है.
Yes.
Why is it false? Anyone else? Why is it true? Let's first decide that. Skand.
In the book, it says that since Delhi was a symbolism for them to acquire India again, they led a twofold attack from both sides.
Yes, yes, surely.
Which is why I think it was the first city to be acquired, annexed back.
Then a counter to this line of thought would be, rebels also knew that it is most important. So they'll put all their takat in defending Delhi.
So it was recaptured within a month. It was in June and they started in May.
The point is, will they not give their best in defending Delhi or not, rebels?
So they came all over from north.
All from Delhi only. For British also it was most important. For rebels also it was most important. And to be recaptured first. Which one will be the first to be recaptured? Which is the easiest, the quickest to get recaptured, right? So I checked it actually online also. Delhi was not the first. Just while making this question, I checked, confirmed it online. Delhi was not the first. Even Kanpur was recaptured before Delhi. But how we ought to think about it is, because Delhi was so important, if it was the first to be recaptured, this information is important enough to be mentioned in our books. Do you agree?
Yes, sir. It didn't say exactly that it was first captured. It says it was important enough to capture.
Important enough to capture. बेशक एक महीने में कर लिया हो, 2 महीने में कर लिया, जो भी है, लेकिन पहला कैप्चर हुआ तो वो information तो mention नहीं था. So from that angle, if you have to take a call about such an important thing, कि Delhi was recaptured first, it's better to go with false than with true. We are taking a guess, we could be wrong, but it's better to go with false in this case. Arya.
Sir, in NCERT, it's mentioned that by late September, city was finally captured.
Yes.
So it's very late.
That's okay. See, this is subjective. You will say 1 month is very quick period. Somebody will say 1 month is a very long period. It depends on the resistance also, na? So don't go with just the period that's mentioned. Ognish.
The same statement, I would have a different interpretation, sir. It is written like, but it was only in the late September. Yeah. It is emphasizing.
The way it is writing, the tone of the statement shows
different.
That it took sufficiently long to
sir.
capture Delhi. That's the tone, right? So, okay. That's how we are arriving. Okay. Before we wind up, it's already crossed 1:30. Let's see. The rebels were punished in the open as per law. The rebels were punished in the open as per law. Arya, please lower your hand. Why is it false, Sahil?
They put up a display to dissuade other rebels to come out in rebellion. So it wasn't the norm. They went out of the norm and did this public display.
They went out of the norm versus they went beyond the law. ये दो अलग बातें हैं. So, did they go beyond the law? Did they do it illegally?
Under one of the images, it was written that they did it just to make a display of it.
That's true. But was it legal or illegal? Tell me that. That's the question, na? So, was it as per law or not?
That wasn't mentioned, I think.
So that is why the question is framed. Ab tum judge karo. Was it as per law or not? Would it be illegal? What is the probability of it being illegal, given whatever you have read about British and law till now?
It wouldn't be illegal, sir.
It wouldn't be illegal. So it's better to mark it true, na?
Yes, sir.
It was not the norm. Yes, agreed. But it was not illegal. है ना? वो एक बहुत strong चीज हो जाती है. Thomas Jones Barker was an officer in the British Army? Thomas Jones Barker was an officer in the British Army. False, he was a painter. Who can name the painting which is mentioned in the book for Thomas Jones Barker? Sahil.
Relief of Lucknow.
Relief of Lucknow. Good, shabash. Who can name the painting of Joseph Noel Paton? Joseph Noel Paton. Kamlika.
In memoriam.
Excellent. In memoriam. There was another painter called Punch. Okay, but I कैसा बोले, you know, जोशीला सा नाम है, but there was, you know, I think it was a pen name only.
Punch was a magazine.
Punch was a magazine.
It was a British magazine, I think.
Okay, okay. वही मैं सोच रहा था, नाम तो थोड़ा सा धमाकेदार है, किसी इंसान का अगर होगा तो. Okay. James Outram, Henry Havelock, Colin Campbell were British Army officers. Yes, true. Canning was in favor of leniency with the rebels. Canning was in favor of leniency with the rebels. That's true. Good. Okay. Who was Subhadra Kumari Chauhan? Subhadra Kumari Chauhan. Who was she? Vinayak. Vinayak.
Who stayed up Jhansi, Rani of Jhansi.
No,
who bloody, the phrase she used.
Good. अब थोड़ा सा इसमें एक्स्ट्रा देख लेना कि ये पोएट थी या क्या था. ये ऐसे क्वेश्चन आ जाते हैं, वो सॉन्ग्स फ्रॉम प्रिजन और वो कई सही सारे सवाल ऐसे आ चुके हैं. ठीक है. So that will be all, guys, in today's class. I'll stop the recording now.